So I think it's time for a little heart to heart with potential dental office employees. I work as an office manager for a fantastic office near Cleveland, Ohio, and I've been interviewing for a new dental assistant now for about a month. I've probably done 12 to 15 or so interviews at this point, and I haven't hired anyone because at this point, quite frankly, no one has wowed me. And it's not that I have such unrealistic expectations of a person, of an employee. It's just that, quite frankly, all of the interviews have been pretty terrible. And I think it's time that these applicants know why they haven't been hired. And, I hear so often people complain that there aren't jobs out there available. I have a great job to give to someone. It's just that the applicants themselves have been sort of terrible. And I think it's time that you applicants know what you've been doing wrong and how you can fix and hopefully land the job. Um, these are just my observations over the last month, although I know a lot of people in dentistry and we all talk and you'll hear a lot of the same stories from them. And so if you're looking to obtain a job in a dental office, here's what you shouldn't do. First of all, I do need you to follow directions. If the job ad clearly states, please don't call the office, they're serious. I know I usually have that in our ad. Frankly, it's because we're busy during the day and I can't stop to talk to someone. Especially, I often will get phone calls asking for directions to the office. And let me backtrack for a second. The way our job process works is that I put an ad out, receive resumes. As a matter of fact, I may receive 30 resumes on the first day, and unfortunately, most of them, probably 25, have misspellings, have they're just missing a lot of what would set them apart from someone else. They're very, they're very plain. They don't tell me much about a person, and frankly, when you start to see a lot of a lot of resumes at once, they sort of blend together. No one really stands out, so it's difficult to even sift through them. And those that do make it through are the couple that had words that were spelled correctly. You wouldn't believe how many people spell things correctly. Anyway, when I decide on which resumes from there I want to go forward with, then I'll email the applicant back and specifically write then, please do not call the office as we are busy with patients. We can correspond through email. And I give a link to our website address and to our Facebook page. And I'm emailing from the office email. So it's a legit office and they're responding to a legitimate ad. But unfortunately, I get those people who don't follow the directions and who will call me, and I remember who they are, and I think to myself, don't invite them in any further because right away they're not following the directions. And I really need an applicant, a candidate here who can follow directions, especially the first time. I don't have time to repeat myself, multiple times during the day. Speaking of directions, again, when I respond back, I include our website link and everything on purpose. I want that applicant to take the initiative to look at our website, to read a little bit about us, to find out where we're located. I've had applicants write back and say, I'm glad you're interested. Where's your office? And I think to myself, if they just would have taken that next step and if they just would have done that themselves, that shows me a smidge of initiative. And again, if they can't do that with something so simple, I wonder how well they can do that when they're actually here in the office working. So the other thing too is, okay, well, once the applicant actually comes in, I have them fill out an application. And the application that I designed is a little tricky on purpose. The directions on the very first page here do say to not fill out the second page because I'm looking for someone to really follow the directions. And if you notice, resume after resume, that second page is filled out. So that's a little bit disappointing to see that right away the instructions aren't even being followed. And I clearly say when I give the applicant the application, the instructions are on the top. They're really important. I mean, I exaggerate it. Make sure you read them. And still, this is what I get, page 2 filled out. Don't lie on your application. That happened. I did 2 interviews just now, and both applicants lied on their application. Um, don't do that because I sort of know that that's happening and I'm going to ask you about it. I'd rather have you not know something and maybe instead ask me about it. Ask me what it was. Oh, I saw in the application you had a question about this. I'm not familiar. Can you share that with me? Instead of lying and saying that you know something, a technique or a company or something that may not even exist, but you indicate on your application that not only does it exist, but that you're an expert at it. I'm going to find those things out. Usually, when I start the interview, I start with the question, or I guess I start it not really a question, but I start off by saying, "Tell me about yourself," and I do that for a reason. I know that may be a little old school, but that lets me know which direction I'm going to take the conversation. So if you can open up the conversation with a very positive yet succinct sale of yourself, that would be great. For instance, if someone were to say, Missy, tell me about yourself, I would say, my name is Missy. I've been in dentistry for 16 years. I love every aspect of working in a dental office and helping patients achieve oral health. I also really love running the business and having a firm hand in helping the business to grow. One personal thing about me, I love to bake, although I'm not that very good at it, but I do like to do it. I was married last year to a wonderful man that I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with. He's very kind and sweet, and he likes to eat all of my baking, even the stuff that's not so great. So just something like that, something short and sweet that lets the interviewer know that you have a little bit of personality, but you can very succinctly tell about yourself. I ask this question, and I'm just praying that someone will give me an answer like that. And what I get instead is, well, I finished dental assisting school, and I'm still trying to figure out how to learn some of the things to do. I'm not that great at taking impressions, but I know everything about a root canal. I have a little problem with my ex-boyfriend. Sometimes he takes my car, and I don't always know if he's going to take it. I mean, I'm going to stop there, but I've heard these applicants go down paths like that, and right away I think to myself, I don't want to hear your drama. I don't want to hear all of these things. I don't want to hear bad things about you. If you can't sell yourself to me in a paragraph, then I'm not going to buy you. And I really wish someone would just come in with a bright smile and with poise and a little bit of class and give me a great description of themselves. I really think every candidate should have something like that just prepared and ready to go, because you're probably going to get asked that. So if I start getting a long and winding answer, which is what usually happens when I say, tell me about yourself, I start to think to myself, this person, they can't be succinct. They can't be very clear with their communication, so I wonder how this is going to translate to other areas of the job as well. And right away, my antenna go up, and I start to be a little hesitant. This happened earlier. I had an applicant who talked over me the entire interview. I'm trying to ask questions, and she's interrupting me, telling me things. And I really think it's important, if you're being asked a question in an interview, I think it's okay to stop, take a deep breath, pause, and think about an answer, and then go ahead and give the answer. I don't think you need to talk over the interviewer. I don't think that you need to just keep talking for talking's sake. I think it's okay to stop and think about an answer. That was the best piece of advice I ever got when I was interviewing for jobs, and when I took a college class a long time ago, was that it's okay to pause and think about your answer. Again, if you're just spitting out information at me, I'm going to sort of think maybe that's the way your brain works. You're just sort of spitting out information. I think to show some poise and some confidence is okay. During this conversation, as someone who's applying for the job, that's you, I want you to think about your potential boss and the company that you work for, because during this process, they're more important than you are. And hear me out. As someone who's interviewing for a job, I need to know what you can do for me that nobody else can. I need to know why, out of the 12 to 15 people I just interviewed the past couple of weeks, why I should pick you. What do you offer me that nobody else does? So it's probably not a good idea to ask about things like salary and benefits and bonuses, those kinds of things, because if I had 5 people lined up, and if I said to them, tell me how you're different from this person and how you're different from that one, I'm looking for the person who's going to most greatly benefit the company. I don't want to hear selfish answers. We'll get to those things when the time is appropriate, but it's not right now. I just had an interview with someone and I thought it was going okay. It wasn't the best interview. It certainly didn't wow me by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought maybe she could be, she could be what I need her to be. And then she asked me about salary, and I think it was just way too early, and right away that kind of blew it for her. So make sure that, when an interviewer says, do you have any questions for me, ask about the company. Research the website a little bit. Ask a question about a product or a service that the company offers. Don't say, well, how much are you going to pay me? Remember, as someone who interviews, I want to know, what can you do for me? So if you keep going through interviews and you haven't landed the job, perhaps you should start thinking like the interviewer. What would that person like to hear? And if you can't get into my head, I want you to imagine that you owned a business. If you owned a business where you put all of your time, energy, and money, and years of education, and your blood, sweat, and tears into, if that was you, what kind of person would you want working in your business? You would want someone that could do all of the things that you really wanted them to do for you, right? If you were hiring someone and you had applicants, resumes in front of you or applicants in to interview, what kind of person would you pick? Someone who said, how much are you going to pay me? Or someone who said, I want to make your company grow and be successful, right? Now, it goes without saying that an applicant should really be well-groomed, should look nice, neat, who should look clean, who shouldn't smell like cigarette smoke, especially in our field. We're working over patients. I don't want to smell any sort of cigarette smoke or anything like that on you because I don't want my patients to smell that. So, this last person I just interviewed, her skirt was so short. As she sat in front of me, right across from me, just she and I in the operatory, I was a little uncomfortable because her skirt was so short she couldn't even cross her legs. So consider your clothing neat, clean, and professional. Let's not have short skirts and short, tight tops on. That's not appropriate. It's not an image that I'd want to portray to my patients. And if you owned a company, you would feel the same way. So again, there are a lot of other things that really come to mind. These are just some of the highlights. Unfortunately, it seems that this is a very common problem. So before you are quick to judge that there aren't jobs there or, that someone else was hired because of this or this, I think it's time to stop and take a look at yourself and realize that maybe the problem is you and that maybe you need to change a couple things about yourself. I wish, with all of these applicants, I wish I could just hire someone like that and get going with this process, but I can't hire anyone. With everyone that I've seen, and it's not just been this last time, it's been almost every other time I've had to interview and hire someone. It just seems that the candidates are coming in with sloppy resumes, sloppy attire. They don't have poise. They don't have the ability to properly answer questions. It's incredibly frustrating. And I'm telling you, I have a job available. There are plenty of jobs available. Make yourself marketable enough to get one of those jobs, because we really want to hire you. So, do what you need to do. If you have to memorize a short script about yourself, so when they say to you, tell me about yourself, you're prepared with your answer, then do it. If you have to have mock interviews with your friends, then do it. Do whatever it takes to be, to get that job. I've interviewed 12 to 15 sort of mediocre, ho-hum type applicants. I wish one would come in with confidence and would just wow me. but it hasn't happened yet. So take a look at yourself and see where you need to change, because chances are there may be some things you need to improve upon.